What is going on, all you badass bass anglers? I want to talk about a topic today. It's a little bit old, probably a week, a little bit over a week, but let's talk about DQs and rules. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another video. It is a beautiful day here in Southeast Michigan. The ice is melting. I took a ride down by Lake St. Clair yesterday. The ice is starting to melt, especially at the Harley launch. There's a little bit of ice out from the actual break wall itself, but right at the launch, the ice is gone. Looks really, really nice. So I'm super excited to get the boat out in the water. But besides that, let's talk a little bit about rules and DQs. And first things first, if you like this video, give me that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I really appreciate all the love y'all are sending me. Get that viewership up, get those subs up. We're going to have an amazing season. So if you've been sleeping under a rock this whole time, you would have missed that there have been a couple DQs that have happened over the past couple weeks. But the one I want to talk about just a little bit is the Scott Martin DQ. Now, there have been a handful of videos that have come out about what happened and the hearsay, etc. Scott has talked about it. He talked about it in the halftime show during the Okeechobee event with Mercer. And I don't know. I guess it really depends on what you know with this rule. And the rule is right here, the no info rule for Bassmaster. It really depends on how you really want to perceive that rule. There's amazing videos out there, and I'll leave links to all of them in the description box. Tyler Berger did a good video on this. Mikey Balls, I'll leave Mikey's up here. Mikey did a great video talking about this specifically. Todd Castledine did a great video. Do I agree with the rule? Well, a rule is a rule, right? You got to follow the rules. We have rules in other sports, right? I play competitive paintball. We have rules in competitive paintball. I can't bitch about it if I violate a rule or keep playing on the field after I get shot, and then I either get a minor or the team gets a major and I have to come off the field because somebody else screwed up. Those are a couple of the minors and majors that you get in paintball, which is a whole other, we can talk about paintball another day. We're talking about fishing. The way I understand it is that Scott was at the marina. They own the marina down there in Florida. People are going to be talking about fishing. Like, that's just the way it is. People are going to be talking about fishing. Okeechobee is an amazing lake, a big lake, and people are going to be talking, right? Now, from the time Okeechobee started, from how I perceived this conversation, it was like 3 or 4 weeks prior to the start date of Okeechobee is when the conversation happened. It was just people BSing about the bite. If you overhear something, right, how do you might look a little odd just to start walking away from a situation or covering your ears, right? It's one thing to say, hey, I can't talk about this. Let's not talk about it. And Scott did admit to doing that. He did say that he should have shut that conversation down way before it got to where it went. And then he self-reported. But I think it was Mikey Balls that was saying, you know, what do you do in a situation where somebody's just talking about things. Or it might have been Todd Castledine, where it was Todd. He was fishing, he was practicing, and then somebody came out from their house and was trying to talk to him about the bite, and Todd shut it down and said, "Hey, I can't get any information. I can't talk about this." And then the homeowner that was on the bank said, "Oh, okay, cool." And as Todd is going away with his back turned, trying to tune the guy out, the guy continues to talk after he already acknowledged what Todd said. And the dude continues to talk about the bite at such and such island or whatever the case may be. What do you do in that situation? Todd is already leaving and removing himself from that situation. Should he have to self-report because someone else is just continuously japping their jaw? Like, where do you draw the line when it comes to this rule? I don't know. Do I feel that Scott should have gotten DQ'd? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, 100%. Even if he did turn himself in, self-report that a rule was violated, maybe have him start 30 minutes later, right, than everybody else at Blastoff. Like, do something like that, but don't not have him fish his home lake, right? And Okeechobee is Okeechobee because of the martins. Like, don't not have him fish. That doesn't make any sense. Assess a penalty, but the DQ penalty, I think that was going a little bit overboard. But like I said, there's other video out there to kind of break down what happened. It's kind of like a game of telephone at this point because it happened a week and a half earlier. Things have changed. Stories have changed. People have said different things. But like I said, check out the videos by Tyler Berger on his channel, Mikey Ball's video, Todd Castledine's video, and even it was one of the, I think it might have been either this week's episode of Mercer or last week's episode of Mercer, where he's talking about the Heron DQ and the Scott Martin DQ, and talking to Scott about it during the halftime on Okeechobee. Did Scott know what he was doing? Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He admitted he should have shut it down earlier. He realized he screwed up and self-reported, and because of that self-report, he was DQ'd from Okeechobee, which sucks because I've never met Scott in person. I do remember way back in the day, probably 2005, 2006, when the FLW was still a thing. There was an event happening in my area where I lived in Michigan, and I was at a Steak and Shake after work, and Scott was sitting in the Steak and Shake. I don't know who he was with, but he was facing me, and there was people in the booth, so I was tripping way back then, like, oh, Scott Martin's in the Steak and Shake, that's so cool, and never actually had the balls to walk up and say hi or anything like that, which is my bad. But hopefully one day I get to meet Scott Martin and even Roland Martin. But from what I've seen and heard, Scott's a great guy. Very, very nice. A great angler for one. So, yeah, I just wanted to weigh in on this. Some of these rules. It'd be one thing if you're just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and you don't shut up at all. And then you realize, oh, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Let me self-report. That's one thing. But like I said, my understanding is Scott got involved in the conversation, didn't shut it down in enough time, but did eventually walk away and realized, oh, I should probably self-report. And then he was DQ'd from Okeechobee. So it is what it is. It sucks, but you can't even just BS with your friends. And then it just brings up the other point. If I talked to somebody 6 months ago about Lake St. Clair, my home lake, and then I fish a tournament on Lake St. Clair, do I have to self-report because I had that conversation 6 months ago? Where do you draw the line is the question I'm asking. So let me know in the comments what you think, how you feel about the whole situation, the Heron situation, the Scott Martin situation, the DQ situation, the rule situation, how you feel about the rules. Do you feel there needs to be a line drawn in the sand on when or when not to self-report, or information, or the penalty that should have been assessed, let me know down in the comments. And I hope to catch you soon. It's a beautiful day. The weather's just going to get even better here in Michigan. I cannot wait to get out on the water. Hopefully, I will see you out there. Keep those lines tight, all you slack liners out there. And I will, that's a G-Man shout out. And I will catch you on the flip. Peace.